Yello Lawkers, welcome back to another video with me, Larissa, and our special guest today is Levi. He hates me, but that's okay, he's cute. Today we are going to be taking a look at my two favorite subjects in the entire world, and that is personality types and love. And we're going to be talking about my favorite personal development book that changed my life, which is Attached by Dr. Amir Lavine and Rachel Heller. Find yourself pretty much in a cycle of dating the same people over and over and over again, whether it's somebody who can't commit to a relationship or doesn't want to commit, or somebody that's extremely needy and wants attention and wants to hang out, and you just keep dating these same people over and over and over again. Well, that's what this book helps us distinguish, is why we keep falling into these type of relationships. When I first started reading this book, they start off giving so many different examples and stories that people have told them. A lot of the ones I read, I was like, wow, you literally followed me around and wrote down what my love life has been like. It is crazy weird how closely I related to so many of the testimonies or stories in this book. Yes, it is crazy. It is astounding how I keep finding myself attracted to the same type of guy over and over and over again. The thing I regret most is not reading this book sooner when I started my quest of dating. And it could have saved me a lot of time and definitely a lot of heartbreak. Yes, a lot of that. But here we are, regardless. Lessons have been learned. Alright, so it's no secret that the OG Awkward Chronicles on Instagram were my personal spin-off of The Bachelorette, whereas I was The Bachelorette. So this book, Attached, is an in-depth look at different attachment styles interacting in romantic relationships. So attachment theory itself is the manners in which people perceive and respond to intimacy in romantic relationships. So this is taking a look at the romantic relationships, whereas the attachment theory was originally based off of how children attach themselves to their parents or guardians. There are three main types, and there's kind of like a fourth little mini type. The three big ones are secure, which makes up 50% of the population. They are comfortable with intimacy and loving and affectionate. Anxious style, which is about 20% of the population, which these people crave intimacy. They're preoccupied with their relationships. It's like the only thing they think about. And they tend to worry about their partner's ability to love them back. Avoidant are about 25% of the population. They equate intimacy with a loss of independence and constantly try to minimize closeness. The fourth kind of like subtype is the anxious avoidant combo, which makes up about 3 to 5% of the population. So it's a mix between the anxious and avoidant type. So attachment styles are not based off of any other personality or even physical traits. They're not a factor. They're their own category, and whether you're introverted, extroverted has nothing to do with how you attach yourselves. It's just based on how you feel comfortable with intimacy in relationships. This book speaks about the dependency paradox, which the attachment principles teach us that most people are only as needy as their unmet needs. So let me say that again. People are only as needy as their unmet needs. When emotional needs are met, however, they turn their attention outward. When two styles are able to depend upon one another, they result in achieving more independence through the relationship. Let's get into the breakdowns, shall we? We're going to be talking about the anxious style. They are like a puppy. Look at this. They, again, when their needs are unmet, so dependency paradox, like I referred to before, they become needy. They feel like they will never be good enough for their partner. They have abandonment issues. And their main thing is when those needs are not being met in a relationship, they result to protest behavior, which is their style of being activated. So it's any action that tries to reestablish contact with your partner and get their attention, essentially. So examples of this that the book gives, I mean, I could also speak from personal experience because I'm an anxious style. How fun am I? So the examples the book gives about the anxious style is calling, texting, or emailing many times, waiting for a phone call, loitering by your partner's workplace in hopes of running into him or her, withdrawing, so sitting silently, turning your back, and kind of giving your partner the cold shoulder, keeping score, paying attention to how long it took for your partner to return your phone call or waiting just as long to return theirs, manipulating, acting busy or unapproachable, ignoring phone calls, saying that you have plans when you actually don't, making him or her feel jealous, making plans to get together with an ex for lunch, going out with friends to a singles bar, telling your partner about someone who hit on you today. Those are just some of the examples, and they go more in depth with that as well. The next style I want to talk about briefly is the avoidance style. To me, they kind of remind me of like a cat, you know, don't really want to hang out with you, but will kind of just linger in your presence kind of thing. They are described as distant, they have commitment issues, they have a tendency to blame external sources on not finding the one and always finding something that is incomplete with their partner instead of looking inward upon themselves. While anxious style goes through protest behavior, the avoidance go through what is called deactivating strategies. So a deactivating strategy is any action to disengage from your partner used to squelch intimacy. Examples of deactivating strategies are saying or thinking, I'm not ready to commit, but staying together nonetheless, sometimes for years. Focusing on small imperfections in your partner, pining after an ex, flirting with others, not saying I love you while implying that you do have feelings toward the other person, pulling away when things are going well, keeping secrets and leaving things foggy to maintain your feeling of independence, and avoiding physical closeness, not wanting to share the same bed, not wanting to be intimate, walking several strides ahead of your partner, etc., etc. Again, there's more in here, but those are like the big ones, I would say. The last attachment style is the secure style. Sorry, he is panting so much. Okay, so the secure style is more like, I would say, an older dog. Just because they're just chill. They like to hang out and cuddle and whatever, but at the same time, they're like cool with being alone and doing their own thing at the same time. Secures are described as reliable and consistent. They don't dodge intimacy or get all consumed by their relationships. And they have an uncanny ability to communicate theirs and respond to their partner's needs. Examples of the secure style from the book are they are great conflict busters, they're mentally flexible, they communicate effectively, they don't play games, they are comfortable with closeness and unconcerned about boundaries and quick to forgive. They treat their partners like royalty, and they're secure in their power to improve their relationship, and they're responsible for their partner's well-being, such as they expect others to be responsive and loving towards them, and so are responsive to other needs. As you can just tell from that, secures are great, you know? There's 50% of the population off of them. And I'll get into the dating aspects of each style. If secures are on a date with an insecure attachment style, such as like avoidant or anxious, they can come off as like lacking a spark on a first date or whatever, and In actuality, it just means that the anxious and avoidant person are just not activated or deactivated. The awesome thing about secures, as the book describes, is they can make their insecure attachment styles more secure because they do have that ability of effective communication. In this book, they do provide a quiz to figure out what your attachment style is. They do go into describing how to pick up on other people's attachment styles. And this has become one of my favorite games to play in my life. Like anytime I watch a movie, read a book, even just like walking around and seeing other people interact, I try to guess their attachment style based on what I can see. And it is so clear to me now, and I don't understand why I just didn't read this sooner. They do give some examples of they do give some examples of signs of other people's attachments so you can figure out what your significant other is without having them take the test. Or like if you're on a first date or talking to somebody, you can figure out and pinpoint kind of what their style is so you don't have to waste your time if it's not something that you want to match up with. Cracking others' attachment style cheat sheet. It's like a nice little graph in here and it goes on and on. There's a lot of them, so I'll only read a few. So avoidants tend to send mixed signals. They value their independence greatly. They use distancing strategy, emotional and physical. They emphasize boundaries in a relationship. They don't make their intentions clear, and they have difficulty talking about what's going on between you. These, like I said, describing before, they have like the more commitment issues. You know, they're not really looking to get into a relationship at that time, but yet they still crave that intimacy. Secure styles, they are reliable and consistent, and they make decisions with you. They're flexible in their views of the relationship. They communicate really well. They're not afraid of commitment or dependency. They don't view relationships as hard work. They introduce friends and family early on. They naturally express feelings for you, and they don't play games. Secures. Man, what a life that must be like. All right, anxious. They want a lot of closeness in the relationship. They express insecurities and worries about rejection. They play games to keep your attention or interest. And they have difficulty explaining what's bothering them and expect you to guess. They act out. They let you set the tone of the relationship, which I'll get into in a second, which is not a great thing to do. They're preoccupied with their relationship, and they fear that small acts will ruin the relationship. You would think, based off of all of this, that it's very clear that anxious and avoidant attachment styles are very different. Anxious people really want to be close. Avoidant people want to distance their closeness. Like they want to be independent. However, the sick twist of fate, each of them has a gravitational pull towards them, and it's called the anxious avoidant roller coaster. Why must we do this to ourselves? The reasoning that the book gives about the anxious avoidant roller coaster, each reaffirms the other's beliefs about themselves and about the relationship. So pretty much reaffirming their insecurities. Avoidance, defensive self-perception that they are strong and independent is confirmed with an anxious relationship. They believe that others want to pull them into a more closeness that they are comfortable with, while anxious find their perception of wanting more intimacy than their partner is able to provide, and that is confirmed with an avoidant, as is their anticipation of ultimately being let down by their significant other. Avoidance and anxious styles often mistake the activated deactivated attachment as passionate love. The examples the book gives off of this is the anxious style wants closeness and intimacy, but the avoidant wants to maintain some distance, emotional and or physical. The anxious style is very sensitive to any signs of rejection, whereas the avoidant sends mixed signals that often come across as rejecting. The anxious style needs to be reassured and feel loved, while the avoidant tend to put you down to create distance as a means of deactivating their attachment system. Anxious and avoidant are more likely to meet each other on, like, go out on dates and date each other more often, even though secure styles make up 50% of the population. So why is that? First of all, avoidants tend to end their relationships more frequently due to their commitment issues, whereas secures are more often in very long-term relationships. Avoidants do not date other avoidants, or at least they do not for very long. And lastly, like, secures, when they are dating an avoidant and an avoidant starts to deactivate early on, secures are able to be like, nah fam, I'm a head out, because they are not getting the relationship stuff that they need, whereas anxious are more likely to stick it out because of the reasons I said earlier. Chapters in this book also, I'm not going to delve into it because I honestly wholeheartedly believe that everybody should read this book. Like, it should be a required reading at school or something, or like you turn 18 and you start dating seriously, you get this book, you read it, and you figure it out way beforehand. But there are chapters that are based on how to avoid the anxious avoider trap, finding greater security as an anxious avoidant couple. So let's say that you are an anxious avoidant couple, you both do want to be with each other. There are strategies in a whole chapter based on how to make it work, but again, it has to be, you both have to want to make it work. Excuse me, why are you leaving? There is also a chapter which I found very, very helpful on how just like going through a breakup based on your attachment style, how to get through it and get yourself back into a more secure state, I would say. And also there is a chapter based on effective communication. What do we do now that we know all of this information? Huh, Levi? What do we do? You need to acknowledge and accept what you need in a relationship and communicate it early on. For me, anxious attachment style right here, I need to be more upfront that I am wanting a relationship and I do need attention in that relationship, such as like quick responses, or at least to hang out and make plans ahead of time. The next step is to recognize and rule out incompatible attachment styles early on, if that is not something that you can handle again. Another step you can do is be authentic to yourself and communicate effectively, communicate your needs, communicate where you see everything going, but don't minimize what your dreams are or what your ideals are because you want to appease somebody else. Anxious people, because again, all about me. If me and you are kindred spirits right here, there is something called the abundance dating philosophy. Dating several people at once so you don't attach yourself too quickly, and can be objective about ruling out any avoidance, because those are our weak spots as avoidance, man. But this way, if you do date several people, you don't have to like latch onto just one person and like be sad when they don't text you or whatever. However dating several people at once looks to you, it is helpful. It helps you make objective decisions pretty much right after the first date. A couple months ago, implemented this dating abundance philosophy and went out on a few dates, and it was exhausting. First of all, I had to be pleasant a lot of the time. Just kidding, I am very pleasant. Anyway, going on, I went out on 3 first dates. Why? And it was helpful. I went out, it was actually kind of funny. I went out on 3 dates. The first one was with an avoidant, the second one was with an anxious, and the third one was with a secure. Obviously, all 3 did not work out, but yes, I was able to pinpoint each of their attachment styles very early on, get past that they were giving me attention into, do I see myself with any of these? Is this what they want? Easily able to walk away from each of those for their own reasons. I didn't feel overwhelmed or consumed by any of the 3 dates that I went, the guys that I went on a date with, which was awesome because I was objectively able to be like, you know what, none of these guys are like what I'm looking for, and I was able to pull away. For my avoidant style people, it is possible to become into a more secure state if that is what you want, and you have to want that. They do give strategies in the book on how to overcome your style for anxious and for avoidance, and avoidance have a lot to get through. There are many tough ways to get past it, but you have to do the work to do it. So in order for an avoidant to get past it, the book gives great strategies, but the main ones that it does give is to look inward through meditation, self-reflection, journaling, as to pinpointing why you are deactivating and why something is making you deactivate, and going back to your childhood even, because that's when our attachment styles are formed, is by the age of 2 years old. It is possible to change through attachment styles, such as I was an anxious avoider in my undergraduate, but now I'm fully back to anxious. Again, some strategies to help the avoidance is to, again, look inward, self-reflect, read self-development books, really focus on wanting to change. Also, something that helps everybody, seeking counsel and talking to somebody, being in that vulnerable state with somebody that is trained to do that. I think everybody should look into talking with a professional. Therapy is a fantastic resource. I don't think I would have gotten out of where I was this past summer without my counselor at school. No matter what style you are, talking with somebody is very helpful. Avoidance, it is more beneficial for them in the fact that they don't let a lot of people get close to them. So having someone to talk to and talk through things out can be very beneficial in helping to overcome their attachment style. Yeah, I think that's gonna do it. Again, please take a look, read it. Like, the amount of bookmarks I have in here is a little absurd, and I love it so much, and I cannot recommend it enough. There is so much research based on the attachment theory itself, but it's a great thing to look at, especially if you find yourself dating the same people over and over again. If you like this video, or my little doggo Levi, give this video a thumbs up for me, please. Remember to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you are notified when I upload new videos, such as book reviews. Yes. Remember to respect others, respect yourself, and do something amazing with your day. Thank you. Bye. Attachment style is the secure... Sorry, baby.
Attachment style is the secure... Sorry, baby.